50s or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks again for coming to the KM track, and this will be the last session. The kinds of things you're going to see this morning are track with what John Chambers mentioned and several other senior leaders have mentioned in the Army about agility, social networking, collaboration. You're going to see a very good example, a great example of how FORSCOM has led an effort called Warfighter Forums, to which each of the corps commanders serve as senior mentors to their BCT commanders and their battalion commanders. And there's a battle rhythm of meetings that are led by those senior mentors. The TRADOC Centers of Excellence participate in those. Generally, there is a forum in which TRADOC's specific role would be to address a non-traditional mission issue, for example, the artillerymen doing infantry type work, and how do they reorganize their TONEs and equipment structure training to do that. So what you'll hear from John Craig Basie today is how they've worked at the corps in the Army 3 Corps and instituted this process. It is sponsored by the 3 ACOM commanders, AMC, TRADOC, and FORSCOM. And General Cohen, in his first day of the job, had a senior leader conference, and in it he mentioned Warfighter Forums specifically, saying that when his new battalion commanders, brigade commanders came in and had not taken command yet, he put them engage with the Warfighter Forums. So the senior leadership understands the value of the collaboration, the tools available, and the opportunity to exchange current knowledge between those downrange and those getting ready to go down to the AOR. So with that, I'll introduce Craig Basie.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. Great weather we're having outside right now. Unfortunately, some of us will not be getting that as we head up the East Coast. We do have, for the record, we do have a Category 2 hurricane off the coast of Miami right now, heading north. So we'll see how this goes. We've all done a lot of networking this week. I certainly have, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to say that I have completely run out of business cards as well as all my trifolds. So with that in mind, first, I am Craig Basie. I am the chief of the KM and Warfighter Forum office at U.S. Army Forces Command headquarters. I report directly to the Deputy Chief of Staff of the headquarters. My functions are KM, Warfighter Forum. I'm the PM for the task or management TMT that we're doing. We'll kick off very soon. We've bought 3,400 licenses for that, and it is certainly a knowledge management enabler. Also the Viper system, which we put together to help us in our BRAC move to collect personnel data for individuals who are transitioning to Fort Bragg from Atlanta. I'm also the CP36 manager for Forces Command. And since I didn't have any more business cards and trifolds, I thought I'd take a few minutes to give you a little bit of background on myself. 20 years Army officer. Spent most of that time, a third of that time with the 18th Airborne Corps, finished up with Special Operations, commissioned at a small liberal arts college in Illinois called Knox, Boston University graduate degree, Villanova University postgraduate, and a Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt kicker, fortunately paid for by industry, PMI through University of Oklahoma, Tulsa, again industry sponsored. And now taking a class that Mr. Obeck's put together in coordination with ODU, Old Dominion University, as a 18-month coursework for knowledge management certification. After retiring from the military, I went into the private sector within a year, started $3.5 million business. That business is still in operation today after 14 years. After we got the management on board and trustworthy, went on to work with a Fortune 5,000 company as a plant manager. And that's where I first learned about Lean and Six Sigma. Following that, dabbled with a franchise, another consumable franchise with a 95% profit margin. And then decided after that, after I sold that, I still have the first business, to entertain the idea of working with a Fortune 100 company and contracted with the military, and brought me back to the 18th Airborne Corps, where as a senior operations analyst working in modularity coordination cell, did work on the rudimentary Warfighter Forum, which really started back in 2007. This brief I'll give today will follow on with that. Afterwards, my first assignment as GS was as a mentor for green belt and black belts there with the garrison at Fort Bragg, and then was given the opportunity to move on to Forces Command Headquarters and the knowledge management shop. What I've learned so far, community of purpose is powerful because none of us are as smart as all of us. I've learned that best practices can best be optimized and analysis of best practices through community of purpose. I've learned that process understanding, process development, and continuous process improvement are really key to efficiencies, particularly in a resource-constrained environment as we have today, and we'll have more so later. I have a great wife, 3 kids, and 2 of the best bird dogs this side of the Gator Hill. With that, I'll go ahead and get started with the Warfighter Forum. The Warfighter Forum is what we consider a key enabler to knowledge management within the Army, not within Army. As Mr. Obeck has stated, this initiative started back in 2007. I'll go to the next slide now, please. As a small community purpose, 3 4-star generals. General Campbell, who was the FORSCOM commander at the time, was really turned on by an initiative at Stryker that has led to what we have here today. Generally, the purpose of this discussion today is listed here, but as you're reading through this, I just want to say that I am a facilitator of the Warfighter Forum. I'm one of many facilitators for the Warfighter Forum. Forces Command did lead this effort, and it was for the purpose and is for the purpose of providing conduits of information for decision making. In that regard, it is a knowledge management enabler for BCT commanders, functional and multifunctional commanders, staff, and soldiers to be able to communicate directly with the assistance of a direct liaison between ACOMs to be able to come to quick solutions to prevalent problems. We're going to talk about several of the conduits, and I think if you look at Warfighter as a microcosm of KM overall. Within Warfighter's Forum, we have governance, we have conduits for information and knowledge sharing, and we've used some of the latest technology to be able to achieve our goals in that regard. Yesterday, for those of you who saw the Fire Support Net briefing and the tools brief, saw something rather powerful because of all the COEs who are involved in this. Fire's certainly one of the premier COEs. So I'm glad you were able to see that, those of you who did. Next slide, please. As we stated, this is a 4-star enabled. I mean, if you're going to have a great project, a great initiative, you really need to have the highest level available to be able to champion your project. And certainly that's the case with Warfighter Forum as it is with KM in general. Fortunately, we'll be able to maintain that. And I'll be talking about the way ahead later on how we propose to continue that momentum. Senior mentors, you've heard this term before, maybe in other areas, but Warfighter Forum, when it was started its inception, one of the first things we wanted to accomplish was in the midst of transformation in conjunction with GWAT. We had quite a bit on our plate. Corps headquarters were becoming flattened, and Corps commanders began to lose their ability to really talk to and mentor brigade, division commanders. And so they were really on board with the Warfighter Forum from the very beginning. We have operationally enhanced sections. I mean, this is a manned effort. It's resourced, it's manned. Every single one of the COEs, each one of the corps has an effort there, as well as the ACOM headquarters. And when we talk about community purpose, my definition is at the bottom of this page. And key to this is that there is no wiring diagram for this. We are facilitators, not directors. And we feel that the community purpose runs much better at max efficiency, actually, by allowing that open dialogue within a system that has a community purpose. Next slide. Just to give you some idea of what, I'm going to touch a little bit on all of the ACOMs today. And we have some representatives from the ACOMs in the audience as well. But some of the metrics, some have said that within CAM and Warfighter Forums it's difficult to derive qualitative metrics, qualitative efficiencies. Well, I think we found some. And I'm proud to say that we were the first to brief a cost-benefit analysis. At FORSCOM, it's called an RBA, a Readiness and Benefit Analysis, to the command group. And as a result, we're funded by showing those qualitative and money-saving activities the Warfighter Forum is able to achieve. Some of the things we've got listed here are symposiums. Each one of the senior mentors, the Corps commanders, brief and lead a quarterly symposium. These are high-powered events. This is a great way for a wide-ranging audience to be able to listen to, react to different issues that come up from those who brief from in country. We have BCT commanders from Afghanistan briefing at each one of these. Each one of the corps has a quarterly, and we have a schedule that I'll give you more information about later. But 100+ participants, many GEO level participants in that regard. You get to hear not only BCT commanders and soldiers' concerns, but you're able to hear almost instantaneously the solutions that the different ACOMs come up with to resolve those issues. Pre-deployment data. We don't just pass information within the Warfighters Forum. It really is a true knowledge, and true knowledge management would have to include analysis of those issues. We look at communication capabilities as a primary enabler and supporter of the Warfighter Forum and the process involved in the Warfighter Forum, but they're not necessarily the CAN. The techniques we use in the conduits don't make 100% of what Warfighter Forum really is. During these data collection activities, each one of the, which are now called umbrella groups, we engage with other organizations that collect lessons learned as well, call Marine Lessons Learned Joint, as well as the latest, which is the OEF Lessons Learned Forum, which I understand from my call representative has effectively changed names. We haven't figured out quite what that is yet. At any rate, there are several efforts going on out there. We look at the Warfighter Forum as primary in the case with Forces Command, because we're actually deriving information at all levels of a BCT during their umbrella week and analyzing them. Videotapes are taken, they're hung on the web portals that I'll have information about a little bit later, and gives everyone out there the opportunity to be able to visualize what's going on, what those issues are. And we've had 38 of those in just the last year. Newsletters we do, those are full of facts. Those are on the websites as well that you can get to. Those are published monthly. And we also have some examples here, some of the things that enduring processes. I think we've heard during the course of the week that KM takes on different roles with different headquarters and different organizations. KM is a human condition. Knowledge sharing is a human condition. And knowledge management is really that entity that we all need to use to be able to be self-actualizing adults. So it goes on regardless if we have a KM section, regardless if we have a Warfighter Forum. What we do in this case for the Warfighter Forum is tailor this to each specific COE, each specific corps. They tailor themselves. Some of the long-term enduring types of things the corps are doing. Striker leadership orientation with the Striker, the First Corps Warfighter Forum. The proponent for airborne operations and airborne board activities, as well as forced entry. Warfighter Forum at the 18th Airborne Corps has got that responsibility for General Helmick and his crew. Next slide, please. What are we doing? How are we doing? As a process-oriented individual, I look at what we need to sustain and what we need to improve on. Some of the things we've been able to maintain momentum on, certainly the senior mentor symposiums have really caught fire. And like I said before, they're very powerful. Certainly contributed to hastening TTPs and doctrine development. Resolving issues, harvesting pearls naturally, as good KM professionals do. But one of the things that we've initiated with the Warfighter Forum is a process action team process where collaboration is even taken a step further. We're neck down to issues that require the brain power of several individuals from across ACOMs to get together and to work through. Several of these were presented at the last Executive Director Steering Committee in February to work, and we're still working on it. And naturally, to continue to prosecute Warfighter Forum as a key enabler to knowledge management. To improve, really trying to get our heads around how we're going to transition Warfighter Forum as a relevant key enabler as we move from demand-based to supply-based Army operations. And we've got teams working on that within the Warfighter Forum. We will publish our FRAGO 4 after it's reviewed by the entire Warfighter Forum community, probably sometime this fall. Naturally, some of us are not digital natives within the Warfighter Forum, and many of our leadership, quite frankly, are not. And that's intuitive. We all know this. It's a cultural type activity. But we have to recognize that the Warfighter Forum and knowledge management have got to be able to move with the technology has got to move with the soldiers and BCT's functional, multifunctional brigades. So we're still looking for ways in that regard too. We want to continue. We've got to do a better job of integrating our lessons learned into schoolhouse POIs. And also, as we go into supply-based operations to increase and provide more robust planning and procedures for home station training and CTC preparation for the AC, as well as the RC. Next slide. This is like death by PowerPoint at this point with the concept and the mission. Simply because, I mean, what we say about Warfighter Forum is intuitive and clear as being the same type